Yes, recessions are declared by economists. Economists tend to deal with economies in general terms. So I put the conclusion at the front. These are all fairly obvious. People don't stop spending because they always have a need to spend, but their budget definitely changes. Recessions are an opportunity to position yourself for a big improvement in market share once there is a rebound. I've got a good quote from a blog the other day, a guy called John Miller. Recessions require you to apply all those market smart strategies that are necessary in the last few years. Okay, let's get on. So we're technically in a recession. A recession is, of course, two periods in which there is negative growth experience. What, of course, they don't tell you is that the New Zealand economy is now 50% bigger than it was 4 or 5 years ago, and we're talking about negative growth of 1.5%. That's the other one thing. The other thing is online promotion, and so this lead nurturing thing is, I say, quietly revolutionising promotion tactics. Another good quote from John Miller is that a recession will accelerate the decline of interruption-based mass advertising and simply shouts your message to customers. And of course, it being the US, he said it's in its place will see increased growth in measurable and relationship-based strategies such as search marketing, email marketing, lead nurturing, and online communities. The interesting thing, of course, is that he sees that those things replacing interruption-based mass advertising only from an electronic perspective. You know, he sees it coming through from the internet being the driver of relationship-based mass marketing. But from my point of view, or in my opinion, direct marketing through using paper and post is still not a dead duck at the moment.
So I guess that's on the boom times, we all cut corners. Because everything's coming through the door anyway. Why do you need to train the staff in
well, if you look at the heat pump industry, there's a bit of a classic in that sales and productivity is measured by the number of calls they do a day. Heat pump industry stats are, I think, the conversion rates between sales and conversion rates between 35 and 45%. Well, how many industries do you know can survive on that sort of level of that's what the suppliers will do. In this environment, marketing has to fight for its resources and fight very hard. It's a dirty game, somebody's got to do it, just get in there and get down and dirty and do it. You know, when you're under budget pressure, people will go, let's cut out the least measurable activity. It's very important that you find some way of measuring return on investment on marketing investment and get, to me, the key thing is to get people to stop thinking of it as a cost per ad or a cost per lead, but as a revenue per lead type of approach. Here's the amount of money we're spending on marketing, here's the total sale, total volume of revenue we're getting for that. Starting to get people focused on what actually comes out of marketing.
You go back to that whole measurable thing. It's often you can't measure one thing as a success, but it's more of volume. What you put out there is what you get back at the end. And one of our other clients who do similar advertising that you do in terms of media and all sorts of other things, they would ask the people, where have you heard of us? And they tell them things that they've never even been in. Oh, we saw you on television. We've never done television yet, but they're thinking they're competitors. But it's more this whole sum total of all your activities. We found ourselves that, you know, if you do a lot of things, like say we do one of these breakfasts, we might not get new clients out of that breakfast, but as a whole we'll get new clients because it's come from somewhere else. But it's just about putting it out there, really. It's kind of, it seems strange, but
this is the thing that's really on my list at the moment, is focusing on the target. Now, I learned when I was doing marketing pages, when people said focus on your target, they mean focus on your apparent target or your some sort of marketplace that you can clearly identify that might be interested in buying you further down the track. You actually do have a bit of goal information in your business already that should be able to tell you what that target is, because every business has a natural connection with some part of the marketplace, otherwise it wouldn't have got going in the first place. and that's your A-class customers. Who are the 20% that generate the 80% of your income? In the States it uses the term lead nurturing, but it's about the number of points of contact that people have before they decide to purchase from you. And I guess some of that lead nurturing stuff goes on before you actually meet them. So, and the other thing I've noticed too with a lot of businesses I start to work with is that they give up on that process way too early and fail to recognise, I think, that there is a trust threshold you've got to get over. Favourite topic of mine is backing product that you never ever advertise that you've got. And it always is just a thing that naturally flows from what you do in the front end. Do their sales staff have a natural trial pose which is based around the back-end product, which if they say yes to the back-end product assumes they'll buy the front end as well. Classic one with computers that I don't see too many people using are, would you like this brown bag with that laptop? Sell the bag, if you sell the bag, you must be going to sell the laptop. It's time to recognise the nervous buyer and the risk averse because the number is growing. This reason to act is the only place to be when it comes to this fear and frustration thing. You've got to come up with a good one, and I challenge people not to make a price. Discounting is a lose-lose strategy, and if you only think about it from the point of view of the features of my product and not the whole experience of being sold to or being a lead being generated through to the product being sold, through the product being delivered through the back-end service, then all you're doing is limiting your ability to generate quite distinct, unique characteristics for your business. Most sales are actually done at an intangible level. You don't actually take the thing with you and sell it when you sell it. And that means you've got to get away from selling that's basically features, the standard product sales model of features, functions, benefits, clincher sort of approach, as if the product is sitting there with you. Mostly it's not. It's about identifying what satisfies the client, finding out what they actually truly envisage getting out of this situation, out of this transaction, and then showing that you have the product, service, whatever, to take on those first steps. The other thing too is just appeal to the nervous by being personal and direct. What's the weapon that really takes away any sense of nervousness and distrust? What is it? We're all sitting around doing it right now, aren't we?
We're talking communication.
That's right.
Being honest, I think, too, with people.
And smiling.
And smiling.
And saying thank you.
And I guess the key thing also to remember is there is an opportunity, but if you can't service that client now, there is still a way to help them that they will remember you favourably. So when you are in a position to need their business, you're top of mind. So the builder can say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm really super busy. Yes, we can do it for you in 6 months' time. I'll put you on a list and call you back then. Or I can help you by referring you to someone else who I know. And you think, gee, they're really nice guys. They were really helpful. And you remember that, even if they didn't do the job.
And my last point is by way of wrap up really. As everybody said this morning, not numerous times, there's always opportunities. And it just amazes me in a country which generates something like 50 to 60% of its overseas earnings from the rural sector, how little attention the rural sector gets by urban business people. They may only be 12% of the population, but shit, they've got some money. And I guess going back to my conclusions, it was do the things you know to do, but do them well. There's nothing new under the sun usually. Do them well, and look for the opportunities, because there are. That's it.
Thank you, Trevor.